What's up, YouTube? So in this video, I just want to kind of take a look at the Miami Dolphins roster and just kind of refamiliarize myself with what the contracts are looking like, who we need to go get right now for positions, and also, as you can see, people like Myles Gaskin, who are going to be free agents next year, we might want to address that at some point. So, stuff like that. So, starting off at quarterback, we do have Tua for another 2 years, possibly. This little red mark here is a club option. If we decide to pick up his fifth-year option, I don't know if we're going to do that or not. But it does sound like, at the very least, we are going to run with Tua, at least for 2022, which is what I want to do. I want to build around him and see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, we already have things in place for whoever our next quarterback would be. So, I do want to do that. Obviously, we're going to have to figure out backup quarterback. We had a guy before the season on the practice squad, but I'm not even going to mention his name because he's not here no more, so it is what it is. So, yeah. We're going to have to address that at some point. But beyond that, I'm not really too worried about quarterback this year. Running back, obviously, is something that we absolutely have to address. Jared Doaks' contract is actually a little bit further than this. I think to 2025, or actually it might be 2024 on the real. Because we just drafted him last year in the 7th round, so we do actually have him for a little bit longer. Ahmed is we can press a button and get him at league minimum for running back, so I think we'll probably do that just to keep him on the roster this year, just because we don't really have much in the way of running backs. I don't really see us bringing back Phillip Lindsay or Malcolm Brown. Brown just wasn't healthy enough. He did play well when he was here, but he just wasn't here very much. But we obviously have to address running back. I want to get one in the draft at some point, like a pretty solid one. Because I just don't think we really have a feature back on this team. Some of these guys are okay, and honestly, Gaskin is we're about to lose him next year as well. And even if we bring back Ahmed, he won't be here next year. I don't think we're gonna actually pay these guys. We have Lynn Bowden, who's a running back receiver for another year. And I guess we have Dokes, but I want another guy to be that future back. So that's a thing. Devontae Parker's contract runs up after next year. I definitely think this receiving core could definitely use some help. Will Fuller, Albert Wilson, Matt Collins, and Preston Williams are all looking to be free agents this year. Cody Core has a one of those contracts that's because he's a practice squad guy, it gets kind of weird. So we actually have him for a little bit more, but I'm not really interested in Cody Core. I guess we have Alan Hearns. I don't really care though. Honestly, I'd be prepared to cut him now. I guess we should probably hang on to him just because we don't have much in the way of depth at receiver right now. But at the very least, we have Devontae and, of course, Jalen Waddle. I would like to try to bring back Matt Collins if we can get him for cheap. Same thing with Albert Wilson. But I just don't really see that happening. But receiver is something that I feel like we have to address at some point, whether it be through free agency or through the draft. It's not my main priority. Offensive line definitely is the main priority for me. But it is something I feel that we should address at some point. Moving on, we have Stephen Carter for another year after next year, so that's a thing. Adam Shaheen, we at least have locked down for 2022, which is nice. Of course, Hunter Long, who we just drafted, we have until 2024. But Mike Gesicki and Durham Smythe are both looking to hit the open market. I would like to try to hang on to Gesicki. It's tough to say what we're going to do as far as these re-signings because I don't think Brian Flores wanted to keep Mike Gesicki, but whoever our next head coach will be might be interested in keeping him. I hope so because I do really like him. But if not, I do think we're going to have to address tight end because Shaheen isn't going to be here long. But I guess if you get Gesicki, I think Hunter Long and Carter are pretty decent long-term options, so I guess that's fine. If we can keep Gesicki, I think our tight end room's fine, actually. But if not, then we absolutely have to address tight end for sure, because I don't like Hunter Long, Shaheen, and Carter as our tight ends. We have one more year with Jesse Davis, thank God. We can finally get him off the books. We do have Austin Jackson for a little bit longer, unfortunately. I don't expect us to pick up his 5th-year option. At least I hope not. But we'll see. Greg Little and Michael Dieter, we have another year on both of their contracts. Adam Pankey, same thing with and Keon Smith, same thing with the whole practice squad contracts. Greg Mance can absolutely go. I'm not really interested in keeping him. Obviously, it's well documented that I'm not a fan of any of these offensive linemen, really. Larnell Coleman looked okay in the preseason, to be fair. But he did get hurt this year, so that's a thing. But we'll have to see how that goes. I want to really focus heavy on the offensive line. I think we have need at all 5 positions. If you want to let Robert Hunt live, I feel like I'm okay with that. I feel like if Robert Hunt is your worst offensive lineman, then you're probably doing pretty well for yourself. But right now, he's our best, and that's a problem. So, yeah. Obviously, I want to address offensive line big time. Okay, so defensive line, I'm going to actually look at linebacker as well, because Van Ginkel and even Brennan Scarlett are more so edge rushers. So I'm going to look at it in this view. Christian Wilkins we have for 2022, and then we have a 5th-year option for him. I would be interested in picking that up. I would like to see about keeping Christian Wilkins, depending on what the market's looking like for him. We have Adam Butler for another year. That's good, because he played pretty well at nose tackle for us. And, the stunts we were running with him and Jalen Phillips were pretty good. So I'm glad we still have him for another year. Jalen Phillips, obviously, we just drafted him in the 1st round last year. So obviously we have him locked up for quite a while. We do have a 5th-year option in 2025 for him. And we have Zach and Raekwon Davis as well until 2023. So defensive line looks relatively okay. I would like to try to hang on to Agba. I don't care about Darius Hodge. I really don't. But I would like to try to hang on to Agba depending on what he's asking for. Obviously, I'm not going to give him like top-tier edge rusher money because he's not that kind of guy. But I think he is a very, very good edge rusher that I would like to try to hang on to. Jerome Baker, we still have until 2024. That's pretty good. Other than that, we definitely have some need at linebacker because, like I said, Van Ginkel we have for another season, but he's more of an edge rusher. But for actual linebackers, we really have nothing. I would like to try to keep a Landon Roberts on the roster, like if we can keep him for cheap, just to kind of have another guy, because Jerome Baker, Calvin Munson, like that's already bad. Calvin Munson and Jerome Baker are only actual linebackers. Brennan Scarlett, depending on what he's asking for, I wouldn't hate bringing him back, but it's not like a priority for me. So we'll see. But linebacker is definitely something I feel like we have to address, both for depth and I think we could do for an upgrade with another starter. I think Jerome Baker is fine, but I would like another guy to go with him. Preferably a guy who is a little bit better in the mental processing side of things, because I think Jerome Baker is great for that sideline-to-sideline, fast, bursty type of linebacker. I would prefer someone more in the vein of like a Nick Bolton type from last year's draft class, where he's more stout and more just going to stay in his gap and do his job properly. I think that would pair pretty well with Jerome Baker. Xavier Howard, hopefully we can find a way to hang on to him. I know he's wanting a little bit more money. I'm willing to give it to him. If we can restructure his deal to try to keep him, I'm here for it. I want to keep him and Byron. I know a lot of people aren't feeling Byron. I think y'all are crazy. I'm trying to hang on to them. So that's just me. Eric Rowe, we at least still have for another year. That's good. I think he's pretty good depth for us. He had to come in multiple times when we haven't had either Javon Holland or Brandon Jones, and he plays some pretty good snaps for us, so I'm glad we have him for another year. Not really that interested in keeping him again after that. Clayton's fine. We have him for another year. Noah, if we could find a way to get rid of Noah, I'm here for it, to be honest. Brandon Jones, hopefully we can re-sign next year. But at least we have him and Holland together again next year. I think that's a really good tandem that I want to try to keep in place. So, yeah. That's looking pretty good. Quincy Wilson and Javaris Davis, they're both practice squad guys. Not really that interested in him. Trill Williams, I'm not really a fan of either. Justin Coleman and Jason McCoy. Coleman actually did play some pretty good nickel reps for us. Now, Elijah Campbell is a guy we can press a button and keep him for league minimum. So I wouldn't mind keeping him just as a depth guy, just because we can keep him for very, very cheap. It's just another body for training camp, so I wouldn't hate that. I would like to try to keep either Coleman or Nick Needham, though. If we can get one of them for cheap. I don't really like the idea of letting both of them go and just not having a nickel corner going into this draft. Because if we can keep Xavier Howard happy and willing to play for us, I really don't want to have to address defensive back this year. I just feel like with linebacker, offensive line, running back, possibly tight end, definitely receiver, and possibly even D-line, I just don't want to also have to worry about defensive back. You know, I just want to have at least one section of our team locked down, don't have to worry about it right now. So that's just kind of my thought. So I would like to try to hang on to at least one of them. Nick Needham, I think we have probably a better chance of keeping for cheap. Jason Sanders, we have him locked up for forever, so that's a thing. Hopefully he plays a little bit better next year. I still have confidence in him. I'm not ready to give up on him yet, but he definitely regressed a little bit this year. Blake Ferguson at long snapper, that's fine. We still have him for another 2 years. We do need a new punter. I'm not really that interested in paying Michael Pilardi. I think we could probably upgrade him. There were definitely quite a few punts this year that were a little bit strange. Oh, here we go. These are some of the... Well, Jared Dokes is actually still here, but I don't know why they're putting him as dead cap, because he's right there. But whatever. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over my total thoughts just on the roster as a whole. I know I had talked about the free agents already, but I feel like really getting a look at not only who we're going to be giving up this year, but whose contracts are coming up next year as well. Because you do have to start drafting for the future as well. So, we definitely have a lot of needs, that's for sure. Hopefully we can draft a little bit better. Just trying to be optimistic, maybe without Brian Flores and Chris Greer, butting heads. Maybe we can draft a little bit better. I hope so. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, appreciate hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.